Hi, it's Skip from Skip's Messy Workbench, and I haven't given you an update in a while. As you can see though, I have been quite busy trying to come up with a water-based acrylic that would look like stainless steel. And you can see that I have a lot of spoons and a lot of samples that I've been playing with here on my very messy bench. So I'm living up to my YouTube channel title. So let me pause here for a minute. I'll be right back, and I'm gonna just summarize some of the things that I've done. Hang in there, I'll be right back. Okay, thanks and welcome back again. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with all of the details. I am just going to summarize what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to get that stainless steel look without using an enamel or a lacquer paint, because again, I say this every time. I have right now no way of venting my spray booth to the outside world, and I don't want the smell. So I tend to use acrylics. And this is the first time that I really have struggled to find an acrylic that I like the way it looks. And to tell you the truth, I'm still not 100% happy with it, but I'm gonna go with what I did, and I'll hang in there and I'll show you what happened. Anyway, what I was doing was I did a ton of different test spoons. I have tried different brands of paint, mainly two in particular, actually three. Tamiya, which I love the Tamiya acrylics. They work well, they look good, but for this particular instance, I didn't really like the results of the coloring on it. I also tried Mission model paints. Mission also worked out somewhat okay. But again, like the Vallejo, or not like the Tamiya, I didn't like the way they looked metal-wise. I ended up, I briefly spoke with Robert over at Barbatos Rex, because he tests a lot of acrylic paints, and based on his recommendation, and I have to agree because I was headed that way anyway, I started using the Vallejo brands and the Vallejo metals paints. These are pure acrylic, pure water-based type paints. So I tested the Vallejo 77.712 steel. I tested the 77.724 silver, and then I wasn't happy with those results, so I got a whole bunch of others of the steels, or of the Vallejo metals. I picked up a 77.701 aluminum, the 77.704 pale burnt metal, the 77.706 white aluminum, and the 77.716 semi-matte aluminum. So those were the ones that I thought, at least on the chip, seemed as if they had the best chance of being more stainless steel. I also started experimenting with the different primers and the color primer that I should be using to get the results that I want. I use the Vallejo This one's a 74-615. This is the United States Navy. It's actually light. Over here it is light. The light goes gray. I've tried their 73-600 white and also the 77.660 gloss black. So those are the three primers that I started to work with, just to see if I had different results with the different primers. And in some cases there was subtle changes, in other cases you really couldn't tell the difference. So this is a spoon with that Vallejo Ghost Gray primer. That's just the primer. And this is the Vallejo Gloss Black primer. And by the way, if you haven't used Vallejos in the acrylics, they really work well. They lay down nice. They smooth out nice for an acrylic. I mean, they work out well. You'll see on some of my test spoons shortly that because, one, I'm not a painter. Actually, it's the one part of this hobby that I don't care for. I'm getting a little bit better at it, but I was rushing through some of this, and you'll see that in a moment. So the first thing I did was I used the Vallejo Steel, and this was on the Ghost Gray primer. And this was definitely too dark for stainless steel. It's a nice color, but it's too dark. And then I tried it on the black primer. This is the Vallejo Steel on the black primer. Again, I don't see a whole lot of difference there. Maybe a little bit. It's hard to tell on camera. This is a little darker than this, but again, it's too dark. Then I tried the Vallejo Silver on a white primer. Well, that's a nice silver color. However, it's too bright. Then I tried the Steel on white surface primer. You can see that definitely got lighter than the two here, but it was still, to me, that's not stainless steel. And then I forgot to label this one, but I'm pretty sure that this was on the, because this was on the white primer. This was on white primer. This, I don't know what color this was, but it didn't matter. It was still too bright. So then I tried the same things on the gray primer. So this is the silver, the Vallejo Silver on a gray primer, the Steel on a gray primer. And again, I think they're too dark. I just think they're too dark. Then I tried on the regular gray primer. The other primer was the Ghost Light Gray. This is their regular gray primer. This is the silver. This is the Steel. Again, not a good match. And what I've been doing was I've been using this fender as a test just to get close to it. This is actually the fender off of a DeLorean 1/8 scale. It's I'm in the process of building that, and I've only done the first 2 stages on it because that's where I am in that build. But and I'm not going to do that videos on these because there's tons of them on YouTube. But this was not a good match. And then I tried the same thing on the gloss black surface primer, and these were not a good black. That's the silver, that's the Steel. So none of that really worked, at least not to where I wanted it to work. So then that's when I got some other colors in, and I tried a bunch of others. So these, I'll tell you right now, these are all not right. They're not the right color, although that one's not too far away. It's still too bright. This one's not too far away, but it's still bright. And what these were was, this one is the semi-matte aluminum on the Ghost Gray primer. These are all on the Ghost Gray primer. This is the white aluminum. This one is the pale burnt aluminum. And this one is the plain aluminum. Again, I like the paint. I think it looks fairly good. But they all look a little bit the same. This one's a little bit a different shade, and you might not be able to tell on camera. This one's a little different, but again, they're not stainless steel. They just didn't look stainless steel to me. Then I tried some others. And immediately you can see they looked about the same as they did on the last ones, and this was on the black primer. So this was the aluminum on the black primer. This was the pale aluminum, and you know what, I didn't label those yet, that's why I'm stuttering here. This is the pale burnt aluminum on the black primer, and that's getting a little closer, but it's still not what I want. This one is the white aluminum on the black primer. That's definitely too light. And this one is the semi-matte aluminum on the black primer. And you could, I don't know if you can see here on camera, but I'm starting to get some bubbling in here, and it's because I was spraying way too fast. I wasn't laying down a nice base coat and stuff. I was just spraying way too fast because I'll be honest, I was getting tired of not being able to find what I wanted. So we'll put those off to the side also. And then I started looking at that aluminum, or that stainless steel fender, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I see naturally silver, there's some grays in there, but also I see some greens, I see a little bit of a yellow, you know, just, so I did some experimenting, and these two spoons that I'm about to show you, you will see that they're pretty close to what I'm looking for in the stainless steel arena. So if you look at these two based on this fender, and then I looked at my stainless steel sink too, this one here looks like it's pretty doggone close to what I'm looking for, and this one is still a little bit too light. This is the one I'm going to go with. What this is this is actually the burnt, this is actually the pale burnt metal, and I mixed a little bit of the Vallejo, what's called the chrome yellow, which is a 71.135, which is the Model Air of it, and I mixed a little bit of the 71.043, which is olive drab, to that mix. And I did this in the one I'm going to use. This is 20 drops of the burnt aluminum versus 2 drops of that yellow versus 2 drops of the olive drab. So we're talking about a ratio of 20 to 2 to 2 to get this mix. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to use. You can see, again, I sprayed it way too fast. With acrylics, when you spray real fast and don't lay down some light coats, you get this looks almost like it beat it up on oil, but the color's still there the way I want it. So this is the one I'll be using for the DeLorean body. So I'll be finally getting the body prepped. I'll finally be getting the body prepped and ready to go with that shade of stainless steel on it. One last thing before I end this is I also started looking at the color of the interiors and what I wanted to do for the interior. Let me pause you for just a minute, and I'm going to, well, I'm not going to even pause you. I'm just going to move the camera so you can come with me. All right. So let me move the camera over here because it's, oh, no, I can't move the camera. Sorry. I'm tethered to my monitor. So let me get this back here and let me pause this for a minute. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, whatever that means. I don't know how fast a lamb's tail's. But anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and again, thanks for coming back with me. So I started looking at what do I want for my interior color. And I had mentioned this in another video in the fact that I saw the real DeLorean. I saw one of the real Back to the Future DeLoreans, and it had a gray interior. Then I saw some pictures of others that had black interiors. When I rewatched parts of the movie, because I hadn't seen the movie in a little bit of time. I mean, it's an old movie, it's an old film, so it looked like it had a gray interior. So anyway, I started looking at what do I want to use for my interior. So I tested a Tamiya XF66, which is the light gray, and that's the light gray on the Ghost Gray primer. That to me was a little bit too dark. Then I tried some gray from Vallejo. Well, if that's gray, I don't know. That looks more like olive drab to me. But they're saying that it's gray. And I tried some light gray from Vallejo. And again, that doesn't look gray to me. There's more green in it to me. Then I tried the Vallejo model color dark sea gray, which is this one right here. And I'm maybe I'll do this one. I'm not sure that yet. And then I tried the Tamiya XF80, which is the royal light gray. That's this one right here, and this was all on the gray primer. And then I tried this one, this medium blue. Now the Tamiya XF18, the reason I did the light blue was because the instruction sheet that comes with this DeLorean references Mr. Hobby colors, and they reference a light medium blue. And that didn't make sense to me, but I figured I don't have Mr. Hobby paints. I looked at the chips of the Mr. Hobby versus the Tamiya, and this was really almost the same thing as what Mr. Hobby is. But I like the color. It might work for an interior or something in the future, but I'm not crazy about it for this one. So I'm kind of looking at one of these two right here. And I don't know yet. Who knows, maybe I'll mix the two together and get something in between. But anyway, that's where I stand on that. So I've decided basically, other than which gray I'm going to use for the interior, how I'm going to paint this DeLorean, the both DeLoreans that I'm working on. So I've got a lot of painting to do, because I've got a lot of priming to do yet, and I've got a lot of prep work on both bodies before I could actually start painting. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'll do an update when I start to get things more in place. But I spent the last 10 days, and I was down here at the bench almost every day, which is odd for me. I don't normally get on the bench that often. But I spent at least 2 hours a day, maybe 3 hours a day for the last 10 days, just testing different paints and different colors. So anyway, hey, thanks for hanging in there with me. I'm all finished with this. Thanks for hanging in with me. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you want. Actually, give me a thumbs up even if you don't want. So anyway, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate all your feedback. If you have any feedback on anything that you saw here, please give me some comment. I like the comments and I do reply to them. So again, thanks a lot, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. I want to thank you all for watching, and if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down, but you know, I would prefer a thumbs up. And do me a favor, if you really liked it, smack that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, give that bell a ring and set it to all. I don't release a lot of videos, so I won't be bugging you that much. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.